Shantytowns and illegal immigrants have been a hot-button topic for quite some time, but the Immigration Minister Brent Simonet wants to clarify a few things. Our BJ McDermott reports.
Persons born in this country to Haitian parents are entitled to go to the Haitian embassy and get a Haitian passport. They are not stateless. Okay? Don't muddy the water with second and third generation. A lot of times that doesn't apply. So we have to be very careful when we use the word stateless.
That's Immigration Minister Brent Simonet clarifying what he says is often misconstrued in the media as being stateless. The minister says not to muddy the water with second and third generation, which a lot of times does not apply. Speaking to reporters outside of this morning's weekly cabinet meeting, the minister added that there is a constitutional entitlement to apply for citizenship if persons were born in the country and applied between the ages of 18 and 19 years. However, the minister also says this.
There is no constitutional entitlement to the grant of that citizenship. It is still the government's discretion as to whether or not they grant that citizenship. So what I'm seeing happening is, I was born here, I applied between it, I'm entitled to the payment. No. You are entitled under the Constitution to apply. You are not entitled to receive it.
According to Mr. Simonet, while he knows persons may have issues with the application process, the Citizenship Committee is working on this.
The Citizenship Committee was appointed in March of this year. We've already approved some 300-400 citizenships of persons born in that country since March of this year. So they are being processed. I see another issue where someone's waited 5 years. People have waited 15 and 20 years for citizenship because of the backlog and the difficulty. And in a number of cases, when they make these comments, it turns out that we have tried immigration to find them, or they have not submitted certain documents that are required.
He added that those who have applied for citizenship should check with the Immigration Department to ensure that their documents are in order with the up-to-date information, or to contact him personally.
If anyone has an application outstanding at immigration, let's say for more than 10 years, give me a break, kindly email me with their name, their telephone number, a copy of the letter they last got from immigration, and an email address to Brent Simonet 54@coralwave.com.
Reporting for JCN News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Despite a potential conflict of interest, Bahamas Power and Light's new chairman Donovan Moxey is not ruling out the possibility of his software company CBI Mobile working with BPL. Mr. Moxey's company proposed an app called Mobile Assist to the company's former board a year ago. Mr. Moxey and his board met with reporters yesterday. Here's Mr. Moxey's understanding of BPL's policies and procedures in this regard.
My perspective is this, and this is for all members of the board. Wherever there is a potential or an existing conflict of interest, the procedure right now within the board is that you declare that. And then in cases where you must recuse yourself, if there are decisions to be made, then you do that as such.
Now, Mr. Moxey says if the opportunity presents itself, it's ultimately not his decision to move forward.
I have to go to my board of my software company to make the decision as to whether or not it makes sense for us to engage BPL as a customer. And if that is the case, then I will follow the normal procedures as part of BPL, as any board member would, so that we don't violate any of the norms when it comes to good corporate governance.
While some may suggest that the newly appointed chairman not pursue this endeavor, Mr. Moxey says he has a fiduciary responsibility to his shareholders and asks how would one gain opportunity as a private company.
It's one of those things where it's not an issue unless somebody makes it an issue. There's there are normal corporate governance practices that everyone follows, and I have no problem following those corporate governance practices.
He says he sees no issue with rewarding his company a contract if he follows normal corporate practices, saying that sometimes the optics of the matter aren't necessarily correct. Deputy Chairman Stephen Holoesco co-signed this notion, saying that Mr. Moxey should not have to put aside a company he's been working on for the hypothetical possibility that there could be a possible contract with BPL down the road. Meanwhile, Press Secretary Anthony Newbold says the Prime Minister has not indicated any concerns on a conflict of interest surrounding Bahamas Power and Light Chairman Donovan Moxey and his software company. However, when it comes to BPL, Mr. Newbold says the Prime Minister is only worried about one thing.
The Prime Minister concern about BPL is that it provides consistent and reliable electricity for the Bahamian people. The people who are there need to make sure that that happens. That's the Prime Minister's main concern.
Mr. Newbold says the day-to-day affairs of the company would be left to the Minister of Works and BPL's board. While some may be excited about the government's low-cost housing initiative, word is they may have to save a few extra dollars. Leah Cooper has the story.
While the government's laying the foundation for many Bahamians to own their first home at the lowest price on the market, according to Housing Minister Ramal Ferreira, the government's already received as many as 60 applications for their low-cost housing initiative, but regrettably, only 9 of them qualify.
We say to the Bahamian public that this is one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. We urge you to put your financial house in order so you can take advantage of this. Never before in history of our country has land been made available in New Providence at these kind of prices, under $20,000, $15,000, $18,000. With that much built-in equity, this can actually make a change and a difference in your life. So we urge you to put your financial houses in order.
Now, when asked if the qualifications were too strict, Minister Ferreira told reporters these qualifications are quite liberal.
You're dealing with the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, and there is no bank, there's no financial entity more flexible with the Bahamian public than the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation. The fact of the matter is that consumer debt and predatory lending by some of the other commercial banks is a huge issue, and a lot of Bahamians have been seduced into loans that are unnecessary, particularly Bahamians who can have salary deductions.
Minister Ferreira adds that the government plans to roll out 3 subdivisions here in the capital. Here's an update on that process.
The Sunshine Close extension is already underway. Lionel Davis, the engineering drawings and the works will commence. That's in Roma Street, Fox Hill. And of course, Carmichael Village. We're finalizing the design phase of that, and we hope to begin construction on that subdivision very soon.
Those wishing to apply for their piece of the pie can apply to the Ministry of Environment and Housing. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Leah Cooper.
You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.